In Greek legend, the Elysian fields were the place where the blessed, good, and heroic dead went to be given immortality from the gods. It was a quiet, blissful, delightful place with gently rolling fields and hills. In Minnesota, about 1 hour outside of Minneapolis, just south of the Elysian fields, in the rural town of Janesville, another legend has been growing. Until it was rerouted a half-mile outside of town, US 14, a busy Minnesota highway, passed directly through this quiet farming community. Some have heard the rumors and know where to look. Still, some wayfaring strangers unwittingly drive right through. But those whose eyes wander to the houses through rolled-up windows and wonder to themselves about the lives and stories who live in these nameless, faceless windows may catch a glimpse and maybe a wink from the doll in the attic window.
There's a demon that lives in there, in the doll.
My son was actually walked by there trick-or-treating and said that's the haunted house.
234.
That was the first I've heard of that in many years. I don't know where he got that from. He's only 8, second grader.
Could you go down to the fire department? There's a car parked for
Yeah, I've heard stories, but I haven't bought into it.
Have you ever heard somebody was killed in that house or hung themselves?
I heard that somebody hung themselves in that.
Well, it's pretty gruesome.
Stories about that, certain times of the day it moves by itself.
I guess a lot of people, when they drove by, they thought it was somebody had actually hung themselves there. They seen it up there.
The question has been asked for over 50 years. Why is it there, keeping its watchful gaze?
Now I've heard everything from memory of a lost sibling or daughter, or it's been a shrine of some type. I've heard all of them, and I guess I've never really known what the real reason is.
When I heard it as a child, it was just, a child that just wasn't mentally capable of handling, being outside the house. So I just looked out the window and watched all the kids and people go by. And
you'll see it in different kind of positions. That's the truth. It has. I mean, it doesn't just stay in one spot. Now, whether or not someone's moving it or what, you don't know. I personally think that it gets moved, but who moves it? Who knows?
Then you hear other, somebody was murdered up there, and or a child died upstairs. This is just, people talk.
But I don't know, was one of those Wardy's brothers was bad, and the father put him up into the attic, and that's where the kid had to stay because he was being naughty, and they would feed him and clothe him, but they had to stay in the attic.
At the center of this mystery is the man who was born in the doll's house, the man who placed the baby in the window, Mr. Ward Wendt, an impulsive collector of antiques and curiosities. Mr. Wendt refuses to be photographed for fear of burglars, thieves, and drug addicts who seek to steal from him or harm him.
I was born in this place almost 80 years ago. I showed up in town here at February 20th, 1928, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I was born in this house. I was born in the best bedroom.
I've known Wardy all my life since I grew up in town here. So it was made up to stimulate everyone's imagination and to come up with their own theories of why. and it's worked. But that's just a theory.
A child drowned in that house, and that they hung the baby in the window, kind of in honor of that, or as a memory. But that was before I met Wardy, so I know that's not the truth.
Yeah, I see him around town. He's really nice.
And I've never talked with him, but he just seems like a pretty good, just a friendly guy.
My dad, when my mother died, he brought this big bouquet of red roses. And just gave it to the family.
He used to make flowers.
But that's what he did.
Right flowers for
When he
weddings.
did, yeah, he did flowers. Right.
He has been a farmer, a railroad worker, and a florist who sometimes drove around in a hearse. The stories begin and end with him.
I don't know. It's in a time capsule, isn't it? What he said, what's supposed to.
In 1976, on our nation's bicentennial, the town of Janesville buried a time capsule to be opened 200 years later. The secret to the doll is written by the hand of Ward Went, encased in a child's vault. The mystery of the doll, it seems, may never be known, but the legend continues to grow.
Everybody always asks about that. There's people from Pennsylvania that have come through. I've talked to. When I was out in Pennsylvania, asked me about that.
I mean, we're kind of, I guess, to be known, people from all over the nation come and see the doll at the house. And as long as Ward lives there, I don't believe it'll ever get taken down.
The baby in the window keeps its lonely vigil in silence, leaving it to us, the travelers, pilgrims, and passengers, to look up into the attic windows, perpetuate the stories, myths, and legends, to grant immortality to our modern American folklore.
I don't know. It's in a time capsule, isn't it? What he said, what's supposed to. Did he say?
Yes, he said that. Well, that's not going to be open until 2176.
When?
2176. About 200 years.
Yeah. I thought it was coming up shortly.
No.
See, we won't be around for that.
You guys aren't going to know that.
Yeah. Not even our kids will know.
That's why we came to find the barber who knows the answer.
Yeah.
That's right. The real story we're looking.
He said, don't tell anybody.
And we won't.
Huh?
We won't.
Well, it's pretty gruesome.
That's perpetuated.